Approval and a second of last month's minutes.
Motion to approve. Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, first thing on the agenda is City Hall. Seth, you got the floor.
All right, Mayor. Last time I guess in December, we met and had just a tentative set of plans that we were working on to gain approval from the board to progress and to develop a check set of plans that we could send to rural development for our loan application. And that's where we're at right now. We've been working on taking that preliminary set of plans into a set that we can get to rural development. So we're ready to do that, to go ahead and finalize the loan application that we have to send in to them. And Nancy's been working on that from the city's end, and I've been working on that from my end, and we're going to try to get together here in probably the next week to try to put all that information together to submit the packet and in order to finalize the funding for that project.
Okay.
So that's where we are, and just if anybody has any questions on how the plans are looking, or
all the steps we're supposed to go through, we're still in the timeline on with the state on where we're supposed to be.
We're pretty close to that. The good thing was that the city made the purchase of property last fall in a timely manner.
Right.
And that helped us stay in within those guidelines. So we're very close to what we had told them that we would start with. So that's all gone, I think, very well. And again, it's a large part to you all go ahead and taking an action and buying the property as you did. So
okay.
I think we're in fairly good shape.
No news on the FEMA grant one way or the other as far as
They haven't turned it. I've been getting
turned it down,
but they periodically send me inquiries on asking for more information, and the last one of those was sent in late December, and I responded to that, clarifying some information on the application. So it tells me they're still looking at it, but they've not said, hey, you're funded on this, but they've continued to ask for more information. And one of them was actually they wanted more detail. They wanted actually to show us some more detailed plans than we originally submitted. So that's very encouraging. Mm-hmm. But I hope to hear something within the next couple of months on whether or not they're going to fund it for sure.
Anybody got any more questions, Seth, on the City Hall or any of the? Pretty much explains where we're at on it. So. Now we'll move on to anything else under old business.
Yes, we have Trey here with Bart Wagner. Dean had a prior engagement tonight and couldn't make it. He's going to kind of fill us in where we're at on our CDBG grant.
Sewer.
We actually have a resolution we've got to pass tonight.
Okay.
Before, I think we got, what, 2 weeks to have that in, about the middle of this month?
Maybe getting closer to a week and a half.
Okay.
Yeah, you gotta have it in by this week.
By this week, so it's,
Yeah. They always wait till the last minute.
and this is, you got the resolution.
Yeah, you seen the note on when I sent it out in the mail that I didn't have it at the time of the mailing, but it's in the stack, laying there in your paperwork. I think it's requesting not to exceed $17,000. It says from the counties, but it's actually cities.
City, right.
I didn't notice that till I sat here right now.
Resolution number 2012-131R.
Mm-hmm.
this is just for us to apply for the grant.
Yeah.
We don't know. We probably won't know till November.
Around then, it'll be later this year before they make their announcements.
Yeah, this states that if we get the grant, you're going to pay your part.
Right. You need that number?
Plan if we do get it. What are we going to work on?
Do you remember the conversations the last several months on the pump station on Harris?
Rehab. It's part of a rehab.
Okay.
The last year's CDBG we turned in for was both pump stations, 147 and Hurricane Creek. We fell about the fourth one on the line, and it's on a point-based system. With the number of low to moderates we have, with doing both pump stations, it's hard to get the points you need. Where we're hoping that we can do one pump station at a time and actually still have enough points. Our biggest problem is we don't have enough sewer customers. We got a lot of sewer in the ground, but the number of customers is limited. Most of it's transport line getting everything to Erin. So that's where the problem lays. There's not enough people low to moderate that's actually on it, and it don't score real high. I think it was 198 is what we scored on the last one. I actually seen the list, and I think we was the 4th under the line on it. And 200 points is usually the cutoff on it.
Well, if we can get some of these improvements, will that help increase the number of customers on the line, or is that another project?
It'll get it where we could extend it.
I've heard people that want to get city sewer, you know.
And one of the biggest problems we had prior, the biggest thing we got facing right now on city sewer is the moratorium. Do you know if Dean ever got back hold to him? I spoke to Dean this morning, and he was supposed to got back with him last week, and he never did. I don't know. I talked to him and seen him, but he didn't tell me whether he talked to the fellow with the state or not.
He was trying to, but he had not heard back.
Okay. We're still under the moratorium that Erin's under, and our argument with the state is that we've spent $700,000 to upgrade ours, and we have actually got the records now to prove the infiltration that we've cut down to where we're hoping that we can actually be lifted off of that moratorium. And actually, right now we cannot sell a sewer tap to a new customer. If they're building a house and the sewer line goes across the road in front of it, and if it's a new tap, we cannot add on to it. Now, if you're in a situation to where you've got a tap already there to a house, you know, if it's the same
It's
property
existing,
owner,
we can,
hook up to it.
right. But if
like if you tear an old house down and build one back, we can hook to the existing, but
actually tapping the line and putting a new tap in, we can't do that until the state lifts this moratorium. And we have got a couple of sections of the city that is wanting to get on it, but then the problem is the board has to decide if we want to do a grinder system, a pressure system, or a gravity flow. The cost offsets with what you have to do in the gravity. It costs so much to put it down deep where everything in the pump stations, where if you do the pressure system, each house has a grinder pump that actually makes the pressure on the line. So, you know, it's a catch-22. There's always a problem there. Who does the grinder pump belong to? The grant buys the first one, and then, you know, who's liable for when it breaks or tears down. But that is the best way to, you know, to lower our sewer costs, is to add more customers.
Right.
But we got to get our system to where it'll handle more customers. The pump we're dealing with now was put in 81, 2, somewhere in that time frame. So, you know, they've got a lot of age on them, and we've not done anything.
we can get them upgraded, plus what we've already done, we could take on new customers.
And if we get approved for this one, we do that project, and then when that money becomes available again, we apply again
For the other pump
for the
station.
other one.
Instead of getting it all done in one thing,
Yeah.
we will actually have it done in 2 grant proposals rather than just one. But to make the points work out, that's the way just about, because the cost of doing both of them is so high.
Right.
That's the reason it don't have the point value there.
You know, another thing on that station down there, that's the one that pumps all the sewer to Erin.
Right.
And they've been flooded several times, shaft's been broke in them, welded back up, impellers are wore. That's the one that pumps all the sewer to Erin.
Right. So that's
It's
the
the
reason why.
pump.
Exactly. So that's the reason why we decided to do the CDBG grant on it.
And what we're actually trying to lower is a dollar amount per LMI customer, and they look at it where that falls in cost per customer based on each LMI customer. So that's the particular item we're targeting doing that.
Well, us just match 17,000 on 386,000. I think it's worth a shot to at least apply for the grant. So I make a motion we approve the resolution to apply for the grant. Doesn't cost us anything to apply for it.
No. Got a motion, I'll hear a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
You have anything else you wanna add and where we're at on that?
We're working on the engineering report to go in. We'll have it in so they can submit it on time.
Okay.
Anything else under old business? Got anything?
Don't leave a deuce, Stone.
Any board members got anything to discuss under old business?
That ordinance is actually under old business.
Yeah, it is.
I've just been too busy.
The second reading on the
Oh,
engineering. fee.
okay. Yeah, that's actually passed on the first reading, we need another second,
I
on
just
the,
noticed it.
on the engineering fees on the city hall, right? 2012-130. Be a second reading on that, need a motion and a second on it.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oh, yeah. Now, anything else under old business? Now we'll move on under new business. I don't know, if anybody got anything?
Got a couple of things. The first thing, if y'all remember in the budget we approved back the first year, it was redoing the parking lot for the fire hall. We're coming up on the time of the year where I think we need to try to have that done, and what I'm asking the board is the approval to advertise in the paper petition for bids. Hopefully we can actually start the work in April, end April, 1st of May is what we're hoping to do. I actually had to get Jerry and them go over there. I don't know, it was around the Christmas holiday, one of the bad spots had actually broke through and mud was coming up and we had to fill it full of crush and run. But it's just something that I feel the board needs to approve to move forward and take bids on it.
I make a motion to take bids on it.
This is the asphalt or
Concrete.
That's what I remember. I thought it was concrete.
No, we had budgeted this anyway.
Yes,
Yeah.
we did.
I couldn't remember if it was asphalt or concrete,
Yeah.
but. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Yes.
Next item of business I'd like to bring before the board. I was approached about 3 weeks ago by the Sheriff Allison there, and he had just come in the room. My fault, I did not get a hold to him earlier, but I was approached, and the Sheriff's Department is wanting to set up a west precinct for if somebody needs to come in and have questions, or a place for the police officers to stop and use their computer on the internet, the phone system, and he'll kind of explain to you in depth what he's proposing does. But he wants to use that and set it up as a western precinct to where if anybody needs any question, they can come and meet at the fire hall in the office there and they can do their questioning. They'll have a phone. It's actually a branch. They have got a new phone system at the jail, and they can actually have this phone in our fire hall, but it'll be the county's numbers, and it's tied with their system, so if they need to transfer a call, they can. And there's going to be, the Sheriff's Department is going to install a surveillance system on the fire hall where we will have at least a recorded, if anything was to ever happen, we'll have a recorded data on that. But I'll turn it over to Sheriff Allison here, and he can kind of tell y'all what, he can tell it a whole lot better than I can.
Good evening, how are y'all this evening? Thank you for having me. Like Kellen said, we have discussed having a west precinct on this side of the county, and basically that's to help increase response time as well as increase the productivity of the deputies that are working. If they get a call on this side of the county or here in the city, and they need to do a report, right now the way they have to accomplish that is they have to travel all the way back to the sheriff's office in order to do that. I've spoken with Spencer at the fire department, and he seems to think that he would have the space there for us to do this. We would provide a computer, our own telephone. All we would need from the city would be some type of access to internet service. Like Kenneth said, I've got a security system that we'll install, and it'll be both, if the council does approve it, we would install that both inside and outside the building. And then I would sit down with the board, and we would set up any kind of special criteria that y'all would want as far as our activity in and out of the building. But it would provide for our officers to do reports. It would provide for them to make phone calls, and of course that's with our new phone system. If a citizen on this side of the county needed to meet with an officer to provide information on an incident that had occurred, or to report an incident, and the officer was closer to this side of the county, they could meet them here versus having that citizen and the deputy both drive all the way out to the sheriff's office. So it'd be a convenience thing for this end of the county, since the sheriff's office is located on the northeastern portion. And I'd like for y'all to entertain that and discuss it, and whatever you come up with, if you agree to that, then we'll sit down and come up with the particulars and get that going. I think it would be beneficial for both the city
and
the
county.
That would actually make it more feasible for officers to be here more often.
It would be a visibility thing to where people would see the officers here more often. They can be in the area pretty often, but you may not see them.
Right.
Because they're going around the back roads and the side streets and all of that. And if they're up here doing a report versus having to drive all the way out there, they're closer on this side of the county should they need to respond. And what I do right now is primarily I try to assign an officer to both sides of the county. So the one that would be on this side would work out of that precinct. And it would be, with the security system and everything, that would improve or increase the security for the building, as well as for the officer should he meet with somebody. Should there be any kind of complaint or anything, we could go back to the video and see what transpired.
As far as the computer line access, that shouldn't be no problem, should it?
We've actually got it over there now for the fire hall.
For the fire hall, so.
All that would be needed for us, and I would provide the computer, and we would just need the wireless hookup to where we can access our system there at the sheriff's office. So all I need is the space, and I'll put the desk in, the computer, the phone, and all of that. I'm just needing somewhere to put everything. I think it'd be beneficial for the city and the county both on this side.
Spencer's not here, but I talked to him. He said wouldn't be a problem with the space. So I mean, you know, as long as I think it'd be good, like you said, good for the city and the county.
Sid, do you have any input you'd like to put on this?
Sounds like a good idea to me, and I don't know of anything right off of the problem.
Conflict with it?
I can't see anything with the problem.
I have one. You know what? The liability of it. If something happens to your officer in our building, is your insurance gonna cover it, or will ours have to cover it? Say a suspect gets rowdy, or?
He would be covered under the county's
Okay.
workman's comp insurance
Okay.
at all times whenever he's on duty.
Okay.
So yeah, if he was there on sheriff's department business, then it would be covered under the county's insurance.
Okay, that's all I need to know.
I have a question.
Okay.
I'm from a bigger city, about 150,000, and these were known as substations because they would do them in different parts of the city, which is a great idea for the visibility and whatever. No, I'm just not forgetting my statement. Are you going to have an officer, one permanently there, or will you just have them drive in there?
Well, they would be in and out. Of course, I don't have the personnel to put one there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, but they would be in and out pretty regular because they do a lot of work on this end of the county and in the city of Tennessee Ridge. And for them to do their reports and everything there, it would really, it would really be visible that they would be there on a regular basis, both day and night, so.
Okay, good.
But it just wouldn't be where, if there wasn't a car parked out front, that somebody could walk up and knock on the door and have an officer come to the door. We might have to set up some type of system to where either they called the dispatch office and met them there, or we put in some kind of call box or something there to where they could get in touch with someone that could have an officer meet them if they weren't already there.
You might have to be here more often. One time they have to leave now and go back the other side of the world to do a report, they'd still be here.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe saving the gas, you could hire another officer, someone.
I'm all about saving money.
Good idea.
When would you want to take effect?
The phone system's being put in now. I think they're about 75 to 80% complete on that, the last time I talked to Steve. And as soon as they finish that, we'll be ready to get the phones hooked up, because the phone and the computer link are gonna be the two biggest things.
The one thing that they want to do before they order the equipment is make sure, because me and Steve has actually talked about this, and they have to order another piece of equipment to add on to your system.
Yeah.
And one of the things, it's somewhat of a pricey equipment, but it all falls under the telephone company. And before they move forward, they just want to make sure that, you know, before they go and purchase a piece of equipment, they just want to make sure that this is something that is going to happen. They don't want to be left holding the bag on the piece of equipment. Not being used, because you're really the only one that's actually got a use for this with our particular system right now.
So is this something we need to vote on?
Good idea.
Mayor, I've got one thing.
Okay.
You know, would there be any reason why we couldn't do just a lease for a certain amount, you know, like $1 a year or something of an area? Is it an area that could be defined that you could just?
In the fire hall?
Instead of the whole fire hall, but just a small area?
It's going to be the office portion, if I'm not mistaken, right there at the main entrance
In
door.
the front door there, I believe. I think it's gonna be more of a shared thing between us and Spencer.
fire hall,
for all he does.
Chief.
You're gonna be using the same area.
Mhm.
Actually, the fire chief is becoming a deputy. At the present time, he's at the academy.
So do we just need to make a motion and vote on it, or just, how do we do this?
Well,
You're gonna have to approve it before they can do that, you know, I'd like to think about that lease, you know, about
so we can go ahead and approve, and then we can always come back on a lease if that be the case.
That way he can get started.
Yeah.
Yeah, why don't you do that, let them, you know, authorize them to use that portion of the fire department.
With some type of, just like an agreement between the city and county work, other than like a contract with a set monetary figure. If there's a money figure involved and it's like a contract, like once a year, and it's not a huge step, but I just have to go before the county commission.
Right.
And get their approval to do that, to enter into a contract. If it's just like a memorandum of understanding along those lines, then I wouldn't have to do that.
I was thinking more along the lines of a nominal amount for release, just to make a binding lease.
Mhm.
And, you know, just to lease space for, you know, a year, 1 year at a time, and then for $1 a year, and then automatically renewed unless it's terminated by the party 30 days before the end of the lease period. So it automatically renew every year. We wouldn't have to come back and do that. And that might, you know, Then as far as premises liability, if anything, we could apportion that part to the county. You know, there might be some advantages to that, to separating that out. But you know, I can't think of all the things that might occur that
Right.
happen out there, but just, you know, just thinking about why you've been discussing it, it would be, it'd be a good way to do it, easy way to do it. It wouldn't take much, you know, much of a contract or draft or anything. It just had to be a simple space lease, you know, and then you all need to insure your own equipment in there,
Okay.
so that your insurance is covered. And that can be stated in the lease.
Okay.
You carry and maintain your own.
Yeah, I mean,
So
it
the
would,
county
it would be covered under
city
my
would have-
inventory and all of that, so it should be covered under our insurance, but we would make sure that the city wasn't liable for any of that stuff.
I think we could probably come up with a description of the area or something that would be suitable. We could, if you'd like for me to, I could work with the sheriff on that and try to get that, something
Okay.
suitable. I'm sure we can come up with something that
Okay.
come up with a simple lease, and it may be to your advantage too in some ways, that, should be a good, clean way to do it.
So for the time being, if they can get started, we can approve it with a lease.
And then
Later on, we can enter into the lease with them?
Yeah. I
Okay.
think so.
Okay.
They want to probably get started.
Right.
Sounds like a good idea. Let's not
Right.
put it in the academy like that.
Okay.
Well, is this something legal that the city needs? What you're saying?
Well, I think so, and the sheriff would probably need it too. It'd just be a good way to do it.
Our protection, his protection.
Right.
Okay, do I hear a motion to accept,
I'll make a motion that we start the process of providing a place for a satellite office, I guess, for the sheriff's department.
let's say, all in favor say aye?
Aye.
Oh, yeah. Looks like you got a new area.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
I do believe.
Oh, I
it'd be
think it'll
really
help both,
beneficial.
it'll help us out just as much as it will the county. Anything else under new business? Jerry?
I can't think of the gentleman's name, but the one about Bay Mobley's house. I met with him the other day about his property up there, and he was asking if he could put like a steps going down behind his house to the walking trail, brick steps. And have a
I
game.
missed the first of that. What was that?
He's wanting to put
Who he?
about Bay Mobley's house. I
About
don't even know his
Buddy
name.
Mobley's old place right there.
I don't think that's a good idea.
Well, that's the reason I broke you up. He
And
asked me, and I
I'll tell
told
you
him.
why, because you're connecting personal property to a city public property walking trail. Say he falls down his steps. So you're gonna say,
Where's our line at, right, does it go up into his yard
I don't believe so.
Uh-uh.
It's right to the edge of
to
the,
what the actual old track was?
uh-huh.
It ought to be about 20, I think it's 25 feet from the center line of the old railroad track.
on each side.
Isn't it, Jerry?
Yeah.
Because originally you had more than that, and you traded out some with the landowners to clear the deed up, so the
Yeah,
title be clear of all
that was
parties.
deeded back to Buddy
It
and
was.
Ray. That was deeded back to Buddy, Ray, Mr. Hall.
Marine
Yeah, that's right.
and
Down here.
house on the corner.
Yeah, they signed, they signed a quick lien.
Yeah, I remember them doing all that.
Yeah, we gave it back to them, like
Yeah, yeah, I know.
Person.
I know it. I remember doing all that.
Yeah, 25 foot from the center. Yeah.
Looking back now, it should have kept it.
Yeah. we had to pay for it.
Well, Like I say, the gentleman just asked me about it, and I told him, I said, we got a board meeting Monday night, I'll bring it before the board and let you know something from there.
Well, I'm like Nancy, I don't even, of course, we can't tell a person do what he wants to do on his own property, but
Yeah,
if actually joining us on the city, it's like Nancy said, if he falls or, you know, what's the liability?
He builds it, you can't stop him from building what he wants to do on his own.
Right, right,
yeah.
But on the city property, I'm like Nancy, I don't think it'd be appropriate
right.
to build anything on city property, private use.
So,
So if he has any other questions, I'll just tell him to come to the board.
come to the board. Yeah. Well, I mean,
But, yeah, I mean, you know, I don't know how they mow up in that area, but,
right,
I mean,
Biggest part of that's just a hillside anyway, if I'm not mistaken. It's pretty straight up and straight down.
if he's doing it for the walking, walk around there and go down this trail.
Like I say, excuse me, I just asked about this, and I told him I'd have to bring it before the board.
okay.
I know we talked about this before, Ken, but did you ever, you know, the process of us, Erin, and the county working together to make that track all the way from here to down through town?
It's too many different owners involved. We've actually, Karen and I both looked at it. I mean, it's not impossible, but you get that many people together and it's.
You'd have to buy from each one as you go down.
Or they would have to sign it over to us and that's
Not gonna happen.
probably not gonna happen. You might have a couple
You
that
have
would do it.
one holdout to wanna be paid. And
Yeah, now the rest of them, you know,
I don't believe it would be such an issue if anytime you do any of these, you're gonna do it with grant money. Neither one of us have enough money to do it.
Right.
The stipulations that they put on the
Well, we'd have
land.
to have Erin's help and the county's help
Right.
too. I mean,
Right.
it'd have to be a
But the
whole
stipulations that the grants put on these, there
Yeah.
can't be no hunting within so many yards of this, and it's gonna incur most of those farms, which are hunting land.
Yeah.
That, whenever we was doing the leadership thing, we checked into the, Rails to Trails, CDBG, and there was one more grant that we checked into to actually tie these two together. And that was the number one evolving thing that kept coming around is you have got to make people guarantee that there'll not be no type of hunting, shooting, or anything within like a half a mile of the said property for the track. And you're going through the middle of people's farms, and they're not gonna do that. You know, we just kinda throwed it out there on a couple of landowners, and they said, well, you're crazy. You know, that's the only reason we keep this land. We hunt on it, we run cows. And they kinda go hand in hand. So that is the issue with tying those two together.
Yeah.
and of course, when the railroad abandoned it, with all the land, I guess everybody got it back, and I don't know, it's several different people down through there now that's.
And I guess it's the same going, like on Ridge Restaurant side, going
Mhm.
that way, it's the same. It's
We
all
had to
bad
buy
growing
ours.
up through there.
Because it was 100 foot
Yeah.
instead
Okay.
of 50.
So y'all bought where
We
it joins
had to
behind
buy
y'all's
ours,
house?
Yes. And it goes down behind the Bradley place. You know.
Right.
We had to buy them past that. We went with Mr. McCarty,
Oh,
because he wanted his
Right.
too. You
right.
I think there's actually 4 property owners between Erin and Tennessee Ridge, the Osbrooks family.
Well, I know a lot of people
The Mobleys.
have actually walked it,
Mitchell's own
and they'd
some
asked
of that
me
back
if
there
we
now
could
too.
clean it up and connect it. But I said, well, I don't know, man, so many issues. But it wouldn't be just City of Tennessee Ridge, Erin
Yeah,
and the
it's-
county has to.
It's more and more people using the trail now.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's really nice. I mean, I'd like to see it myself one day, but nothing's impossible. So highly unlikely, but it's not impossible. This would be under, I guess this should have been under old business, but Ridge Fest, have we just talked about any of the things?
We haven't set an official date yet. That's the first thing we have to do.
Okay.
We're still, did Leslie
I haven't
call?
had that any time.
Did Leslie call up there to the armory to see?
I don't know.
Don't know. We're gonna probably try to work on that a lot this
I don't
month.
know
Okay.
if you're not.
We gotta set a date first before we,
Yeah.
I say we do it in second Saturday in May. You get into June when it was 97 degrees.
Oh, yeah, it was bad hot.
We babysitted kids all day long.
Oh, yeah, hot ones.
Yeah. And if you start changing dates too, we gotta have a backup plan in case it rains, so. Cause we got too much stuff to get wet with music and all that
Yeah.
stuff. Hopefully we'll have a better report on that next month.
Okay. Anything else? Anybody? Reports and recommendations, we done discussed the resolution there for that. So,
Make a motion, we adjourn.
do I hear a second?
That's it.
All in favor? Aye.
Hey, I do have one thing I'd like to add. Everybody that's terms is up, do not forget to go get qualified. The cutoff date is April the 2nd.
Got mine, I got about 12 hours.
Okay.
No, I was just
And-
gonna say,
and
I got my
anybody-
petition if anybody wants to sign it before they go in tonight.
I ain't got mine yet, I gotta go get it.
And any, it's open, pick up your qualifying papers is open now, and it closes April the 2nd.
I mean, I know there's people on
Did y'all sign the signers?
Dear Lord, be with us tonight as we do city business. Help us to make Erin a better place to live. And thank you for all that you've done for us this far. Amen. Amen. As my recorder gets back, we'll start. Call the meeting to order. Roll call.
Alderman Bailey,
Here.
Alderman Campbell. Here. Alderman Dunn. Here. Alderman Finley. Here. Alderman Gooden.
Here.
Alderman Liggett. Here. Alderman Mitchell. Here. Alderman Taylor. Mayor Parchman.
Here.
Mr. Stevens.
Sure.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda to include Ms. Stacy Ritchie, please.
Okay. Have a second.
Second.
We have a motion, second. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carried. Okay. I think this is this is. We have a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting.
I say motion.
Second.
We have a motion, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Hey, Phil, you want to talk about Miss Joyce? Philip Baggett. You want to talk about Miss Joyce being here the other day?
Well, I don't have all my information in front of me, Ms. Pendergrass, like.
Do you want my information?
No, you can go ahead and I can,
You just
talk about it
chime
a little
in?
bit. Yeah, when you get to it, maybe some of it come back to my brain.
We had a visit from Miss Joyce Wellborn. She met with Mayor Parchman, Philip Baggett, myself, Jackie Wyatt, and I believe Frank, were you there? No? For the previous board members, it really probably wasn't a big surprise that we were gonna have a visit from the state because we have taken a loss in our water system. That was January 13th, actually, that she was here. And also, Mr. Jekyll from MTS was here. She wanted to talk to us before the wastewater financing board met, to give us a chance to come up with a plan to be back in the black within 3 years. She gave us some suggestions to improve our financial situation. When I say we've lost money, we've always had more revenue than what we've spent, but you have to factor in depreciation with that, and we just haven't had enough positive cash flow to cover our depreciation. So that's what they're looking at. And it's not just the water system, it's the sewer system also. She gave us, just looking at the figures she had, she suggested that we possibly would have to raise our water rates 30%. We explained to her that we had a rate increase on water and sewer, but she felt like that would not be sufficient. So she said 30% is what she came up with on water and 49% increase across the board on sewer. Now, she's not saying we have to do this, but this is just what she thinks from her figures, just black and white, what she gets from the audit. She said that that's what she thought we would have to increase to be where we need to be within this time frame. We went over a lot of things, how we do business. There were some suggestions that maybe we should change our deposit system to a non-refundable connection fee. Right now we charge $50 and $100 for a meter deposit. If the bill is paid when the tenant moves out, when the customer closes his account, whatever is left after that final bill is paid, we refund. She said there's a lot of utilities that are just doing a non-refundable connection fee, which helps with paperwork, and you know that money is there. It's not just, you know, it's more of a tangible income. She suggested charging a fee to customers requesting their meter to be reread. We don't have a huge issue with this, but we do have customers that feel like their water meter was overread, or they have a leak, they want us to come out and look at it and see if it's in the meter, or, you know, and sometimes we'll go out several times. We don't have a huge problem with it, but we do have issues with that. She suggested that we charge the customer for each trip out there. Maybe the first trip out would be at our expense, and then every trip thereafter they get charged for it. She suggested that we have written policies for adjustments, meter recalibration, meter replacements, leak detection, customer notification of leaks, which we do have procedures for all of these things. We just don't have, where I know where they're at anyways, we don't have the written policies. And we also need a policy for prosecution for theft of water, and there were several others, but so we need to take care of that. She suggested a strict cutoff policy. Right now, it is not a policy, but right now we don't cut anyone's water off if they don't owe us more than $50. And maybe that's something that we need to change. You know, that's just a suggestion that she had. She also said if the water rates are higher outside than they are in the city limits, which ours are, that we need to be able to justify the difference, which that's not a problem. It costs us more to maintain the water lines outside the system, outside the city, than it does inside. She wants us to have our large meters calibrated each year, which we calibrate the large meters, but we don't do it on a regular set basis. So she wants us to start doing that. That's one of the policies that we need to put in place. And she also suggested that we have a meter change out policy, which we do change out meters. but she wants to know how we change them out. And usually we change them out by age, is that right? And she suggested that maybe age wasn't just the only trigger that we need, because sometimes, you know, there's more water goes through a 10-year-old meter than goes through a 20-year-old meter. So we probably need to look at changing them out by age and also by consumption. And we must be in complete compliance. The water system and the sewer system must be self-supporting, and the unaccounted for water loss, which was at audit time 49%. We had some issues with that we've talked about before. We are down 42% at the last check. So we're making progress on our unaccounted for water, and the leak detection will help with that some, I'm sure. So we need to have all this in place, if I'm not mistaken, and I will check back with it by 2015. We have to send them a letter detailing our plan to address all of these issues by April 1st. So that's something we need to really get busy on.
Question.
Yes.
What does it cost to calibrate the meters? Mr. Baggett?
For somewhere between $1,000 and $1,500.
That's the big ones?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and what does a residential meter cost?
Just to buy a new meter?
It's change out meters based on usage and age.
Right.
Just a regular water meter.
I'm not sure, what are they running now?
We're running about $32.
$32, thank you.
You can get some of them on up $55. But I generally get the.
What did you just say? I'm sorry.
The more expensive ones are about $55.
Thank you. What do we need to do at this point, Ms. Pendergrass?
Well, the mayor and I have talked. It's not something that we can do ourselves, and he suggested having a water sewer committee meet and start working on this, and maybe bring some recommendations back to the full board in March.
Shall I make a motion to that effect?
Second. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Pendergrass will give us a date here.
I'll give you all a call. I have to look and see who's on that committee.
Do we have a water sewer committee?
I don't remember exactly who's on it.
Move on to new business. This Stacy Ritchie. I'm not familiar with that. Nothing?
That is correct. Stacy Schultz.
Okay.
Hi, I'm here to make a presentation. My husband and I run a nonprofit. It's called Sports Reach USA, and for the last many years, we've concentrated on fundraising for the American Cancer Society. I am here to expand Sports Reach. I'm trying to bring programs to Houston County that will benefit our residents. One of them in particular that I'm here to tell you about is Zumba Gold. Right now there's a Zumba class at the high school, and I run a Zumba Gold class at the senior center. I've got 4 of my women here to support me. What I'm hoping to do, what I'm asking is I would like to use your room, the back room here, to bring Zumba Gold to Erin. Unfortunately, or fortunately, the senior center can only allow 60 and older residents. I believe that there is a huge amount of residents that need just fun, exercise. Zumba is a dance fitness program. Basically, I make up routines to fun songs, Elvis songs, songs that just make you want to move, and I exercise people for about an hour. I've seen the benefit of it. I've taken a regular Zumba class for over a year. It's honestly changed my life. It's helped my attitude, it's helped my health and my fitness level, and I'd like to bring that to the community. I believe that there's a need for it. I believe that there's definitely an interest for it. The Zumba classes at the high school are almost always full. My Zumba classes at the senior center are full. I can only fit about 11 people in there, and we average about 8. So obviously the turnout is good, and I believe that the need is there. And Zumba Gold targets people that are out of shape, those older that maybe have had knee replacements, hip replacements, things like that. I would run the class. I would charge for the class. I would charge a minimum fee, $3 to $4, and that covers my costs because I download songs, I have a speaker system, my gas to get here, that kind of stuff. I'm not looking to make a career of it. I'm just looking to bring something to the community that will help people out. And I think that if you give me the opportunity, you'll be surprised at who I get to come and how many people get into it and the changes that they'll see in their life.
How many days a week would you need that room?
I would like to start with 2 days a week and see, and if we pack the house, then I would like the opportunity to expand on that, maybe 3 to 4 days a week, but I'm asking for 2 to start.
Is that daytime or evening?
I would like to do it in the morning, yes ma'am. That's why I'm looking for a facility, because the schools can't be used during the day, so I would like to do it in the morning and target the stay-at-home moms or anything like that.
There are certain things that meet yearly or quarterly that are used to doing that. You need to get with Miss Betty Beard, and if it's something that meets quarterly here, you would need to adjust your time so they could continue their yearly schedule.
Okay.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah, we've actually talked about that. The reason that I thought she should come and talk to the board is because typically we don't charge nonprofits, but if you are charging for your service, then we typically charge. But what she's charging, if we charge, which we charge $50 for the room, it would be costing her money to come up here twice a week. So I suggested that she come and she talk to you all, because I don't have the authority myself nor the mayor to say she can have it twice a week without charge, unless the board agrees.
I make a motion that we work out a schedule for her convenience, but the convenience of organizations such as FCE has them once a year at no charge, provided they keep it clean. If you leave a mess.
Yes ma'am. I understand that completely. And
You get out the chairs, or you put up the chairs, put them back where you got them.
Yes, ma'am. And just to give you, I have my own liability insurance, and I do have a waiver that, or a consent form that has my name on it. And what I did at the Renaissance Center, where I've taught classes, is they added their facility behind my name, so it covered not only me, it covered the facility. I'll be happy to show anybody that liability form, the waiver, and give you some information on that as well.
Our insurance carrier, that's what they suggested.
I second the motion.
So that motion, was that a motion to let her use the room at no cost? Or what?
Yes, at no cost.
Ms. Nine, does that suit you?
Yeah.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
You want to make this a hard thing, Mr. Baggett?
Pardon?
You want to talk about this person, the hard?
I think Frankie's taking care of that. We're gonna let him talk about it. We'll put it all on him.
We interviewed several people, and we come down with one, and I don't know exactly how many we did, but Paris got all the other applications, and we recommend to hire Randy Lindsay.
This is a part-time job. Randy Lindsay. He's a concrete man. Lord knows we need some concrete work.
I make the motion, we accept the recommendation by Mr. Frank.
I second
We have a motion and a second, all in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. The next item on the list is William Adams property. Mr. Adams is in very bad shape in Skyline Hospital in a coma. We're going to postpone this till he comes back. Tracy Smith, Mud Racing, 13 North. You want to explain that, Tracy?
We been racing up here behind Mr. Purdue's old selling gas building for a couple of years, and he's had a complaint of mud getting out on the road, and he asked if we could find somewhere else to move to. So we have found a spot on 13 North down here, belongs to Chris Parchman, and I'd like to get permission to have it down there.
Mr. Powell?
This area is on 13 North, just right outside the crossroads at the old William Fitzgerald family house. The house used to be there. Mr. Grand Creek passes through that in one direction, and Town Branch and Wells Creek are all part of that also. It's in a residentially zoned area, and there's nothing that says it can be there. You know, we've got, but there's nothing that literally says it can't. The reason I suggested to come before the city council was because of possible dust and dry weather, noise, things like that. You've got residential areas in part of it. You've got a hotel, motel, the Deerfield Inn, and other entities around it. I don't feel like I had the authority or the ability to say yes or no either. I thought it ought to be a community decision rather than narrow it down to one or two people. If you want to explain how often and how late, et cetera, and what your plans are as far as erosion control and things, if you would like to go into that.
And I'd like to have 4 races a year, and I told Mr. Powell that, you know, what we do is not mud bogging like it used to be. It's about like fixing your garden. We just come in, disc it up, wet the top of the ground down, and race right on top of the ground. I've talked to the people at the motel and told them that we'll never start before noon, and we'll always be done by dark because we won't have no lights there. And they don't have no problem with it. In fact, they, you know, hoping to get some people from out of town. We getting some people starting to travel and come down. It just depends on the gas prices now to how many come. And if we get, you know, they get them some business too. We at the end of the year we'll go in there and disc it up and sew it back down to where there won't be no erosion. I'll put up silk fence at each end of it. And we're not going to be in the running water. We'll be up on the creek bank, probably 50, 60 feet from the creek bank. I talked to the boy that lives in the house. I guess it's Miss Fitzgerald's new house that she lived in. He don't have a problem with it. The families is a neighbor there. I don't think they have a problem with it. You know, if it becomes a problem, we'll just quit.
We have a motion.
Well, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Is this going, have you talked to the state as far as environmental people just to protect that because the creek runs through it? I'd hate for you to get out there and do any work and then they say it's problematic.
Well, as long as we don't get in the water, you know,
Okay.
I don't think they'll say anything.
Yeah, the area is in most of it is in a 100-year floodplain, and they're not going to be bringing dirt in.
Right, I mean, it was just a question.
They're going to be taking dirt out. But, you know, I just to stress the importance of, again, not only the Town Branch and Wells Creek, the big contributors, but, you know, Mr. Grand Creek also, you know, it needs to be the creek banks and around all of those need to be preserved for, you know, a gentle rain won't wash or erode. And,
Go ahead. I'm probably the only one here that goes to mud runs. Riddick's number 2. And there's an awful lot of people, they had these drags over White Oak. And you bring people in, they only get the restrooms. Paul, get some pizza made. That was my next point. Do you have any problem with it?
There is a city ordinance. I understand the motel and neighbors said that it was fine. There is a city ordinance regulating the noise around hotels, motels, residences that we will have to, this board will have to address as far as the ordinance.
Is there
Well, now,
times on
he's gonna
that?
start at noon and be through before dark.
No times?
Could we ask you to get that in writing
What times?
from the motel, the Fitzgerald house? They were really the only
We
ones.
still have to fix the charter. But my question would be, could we have?
Fitzgerald's house is the man that owns the property, ain't it, Tracy?
I think that, yeah, and,
Yeah, Chris owns that house.
Mark, do you know, she's looking for that.
I can look for it if you need to.
Be careful, my heart beat. Could we have a public meeting on that? Would that be worth our time?
Well, I can't see what, if,
I don't personally have a problem with it, I just don't wanna step on somebody's toes.
I think we probably need to look and see what the ordinance says, because we can't approve something that the ordinance says we can't do without doing it properly. You have to
She's found
turn it
it.
around just like you adopted it.
was, okay, there's no school, hospital, or church.
The creation, it says noises near school, hospitals, churches, etc. The creation of any excessive noise on any street adjacent to any hospital or adjacent to any school, institution, learning, church, or court while the same is in session. That's a key. And 2, loading and unloading operations, the creation of any loud and excessive noise. Yeah, but you're unloading your vehicles.
Cars, yeah.
In connection with loading or unloading of any vehicle or the opening and destruction of bales, boxes, crates, and others. The use of any drum, loudspeaker, or other instrument or device emitting noise for the purpose of attracting attention to any performance, show, or sale, or display of merchandise.
Mr. Smith, could we defer this to the next meeting?
What are y'all want to get started?
I know you want to get started.
yes, ma'am. Well, we've got some work
What
to
he
do before
found
we
is
can.
hospital, church, and what? School.
When was you want to have your first mud bog?
Irish Day.
Irish Day?
I got a comment to make. Well, what he's actually doing is just changing location. He's still in the same city that he runs up at the old Southern Gage building.
But it wasn't
He's
inside
just
a
moving
hotel.
locations, and he's really not adjacent to a hospital or a school there.
as far as, on my part, you know, as far as zoning, up there was industrial, where down here is residential.
Could we do that on those special events? He just does it 4 times a year, and I'd hate to.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, here's the last part of the charter. Yelling, shouting, hooting, etc. Yelling, shouting, hooting, whistling, and or making of any other loud or unnecessary noise at any time or place so as to annoy or disturb the quiet, comfort, or repose of any persons in any hospital, dwelling,
hotel, or any other type of residence or of any person in the vicinity. So that's where the hotel comes in.
What ordinance is that?
It is 11.5, section
Well, I don't see,
Excuse me, 11.2, section C.
Attorney, have you heard anything that says we can't?
I have to look at the ordinance. The last section, may cause problem.
Yeah, because you'll have to undo
change
it with a change.
And that's why I didn't want him to
Change the
go
ordinance.
get signatures from the others, because there may be others that's gonna call and complain, and, you know, we're gonna run into the problem, you know, whether they can or can't. and People's gonna want us to do our job.
But it's only gonna be for four times?
Is there anything concerning special events in the ordinances? I mean, if you go right by the law, I don't know whether we could even have St. Patrick's celebrations, you know, without clapping or something like that.
We couldn't have that because they're blowing horns, running sirens.
Exactly, sirens, yelling,
Special
people
events,
calling.
you know, if
Okay.
there is such a animal, maybe that could fall under it, and if not, maybe create that special events animal if there's not one.
And as far as the law enforcement, we don't have a problem with it. We just want to make sure that, you know, when we start getting complaints, I mean, I feel that this ordinance needs to be addressed prior to
Okay,
any complaints.
Mr. Attorney, I'm gonna try a motion. You tell me if I'm wrong.
Okay?
I'd like to have the mud run, which will be 4 times a year, declared a special event so that he can get in operation by the 3rd Saturday in March.
Is there an ordinance on special events right now?
I want to say there's something that addresses special events, but I really don't remember enough about it to quote it to you. But it seems like there's an address for special events. I'll have to look.
I live right up there across from where they had last time. It wasn't, you know, it wasn't that bad. There was a little mud down the road they didn't like. The noise wasn't that bad, I didn't think.
I'd hate to see us not let him have it for, he brings in a whole lot of traffic. I know this will be a fact. And when they come into here, they're gonna stop to eat and buy gas and buy beer and cigarettes on the way out.
Might lose a lot of revenue.
I think that we probably need to make sure that you understand nobody cares whether you have it. We just have to make sure that the charter is worked out.
Well, you know, if you go over to the section that deals with vehicles, over 11.6, use of vehicle. Use of any automobile, motorcycle, streetcar, or vehicle so out of repair, so loaded or in such manner as to cause loud and unnecessary grating, grinding, rattling, or other noise. The one about the hotel, everything doesn't deal with vehicles. Deals with hooting.
Is there anything on the special event?
I'm not finding anything, Betsy. I'm looking.
I don't.
It might not be in the charter. I may have read it somewhere else.
Like I said, if it's not in there, can not do like this, like you said, a special.
Do we get rid of that one? If we go, we just can't just combine it all.
Come back next time.
Let's just get a motion to table it till, work session night at the end of this month, and then we can talk about it, and then he'd still have time from the,
I make a motion that we table this until work session.
and I'd hate to see you not be able to have it for, I'm convinced that Erin's gonna make some money off that.
Mayor,
Work sessions?
let's take this meeting and recess it until the work session. We'll come in session so we can vote on it.
Okay.
So at the end of this, we don't end it. We recess this one, and then we come back the last Thursday in February.
We can do that.
and vote on this, and that gives you an extra 4 or 5 days. Any problem with that?
Are you saying you want to continue this meeting
Into
instead
the
of
work-
having the work session?
No, into the first 5 minutes of the work session.
But then we have to advertise that.
A recess meeting?
Yes, because it's at a different time.
We could, and understand, you can't deliberate, you can't make decisions at the work session, but you can discuss solutions, and the work session is a week before the regular meeting, March 6th. We can address it, and you can vote on whatever you decide you want to do. You
In
can,
other words, we can give him assurances
on the 6th
on
of
that.
March.
No, in February, when we,
Well, in February, I mean, we can research it, Mr. Stevens can research it, come up with some suggestions for you, and they can be presented to you Thursday, and then you can vote on them the following Tuesday. The work session is February 24th, you can vote on it March 6th, but to vote on anything, you have to reset the meeting, you have to advertise for that.
Would March 6th give you enough time to get your stuff together?
Well, it's just not enough time to get the word out there to, to promote the race.
do we,
To do anything, I just, and maybe I'm wrong.
is there
this night.
such a thing? The mayor's the one mentioned that making this a special event.
It still
I
has to
don't
be.
think our
advertised.
charter has anything in the ordinances on a special
I'm
event.
not finding any.
Well, since it's already been,
Yeah, that's,
It's already
that's
been,
my question, is how was it being held before?
It wasn't beside a hotel before.
It-
It wasn't on a residential, is that correct?
I don't think the hotel was
House
changed.
it wasn't a hotel.
It was still.
The zone before was industrial.
well,
or
this one is
residential.
gonna be in the daytime. There were some neighbors up there complaining at night.
It was in an industrial zone also, which is a little bit different.
But there were a lot of houses real close.
Right.
They're the
There's no
ones complaining.
hotels, and our charter says hotels, that's what which comes. So we're trying to figure out a way so we can have it without messing up the charter.
You can recess and reconvene this evening if that's.
Still can't
but
fix the
you
charter.
can't-
You can't fix the
Right,
charter or
you
the
can't-
ordinance at this point.
Well, if you wanted to look, but you can't recess and come back with,
Another day.
without advertising. I really, and maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think you can do that.
There's a motel up there at the other end of town too, where there's having
Nursing home.
nursing home.
had a nursing home at the other end.
But it
Close to
was
it.
still an industrial zone. That's where the difference is.
Well, this is a,
Residential.
Residential.
that field is residential. What's left?
Well, it's residential zoning, the whole zone is.
Well, it's got, right there beside of it, it's commercial.
I know, but it's not, it doesn't go, doesn't extend into that field, does it, Kitty?
She was gonna fill it and build on it.
Is that whole field commercial?
Let me go get my zoning map, I'll be right back.
Allowed, at this time, allowed any other days, but we said you can do it that day, would that help?
But have it, on the promotion.
And then we could continue later and see more about it.
You're gonna do it, what, 1 o'clock?
Started, yes, ma'am. No, well, the Irish Day was gonna start it at 2, to give people time to go to the parade, get through with it.
Tom?
I mean, we could at least do that one and research it some more, man.
How can we get that to go through though? Just
Well, how do we do ours?
I don't do any of that week. I have customers that cuss every week about the parking situation, but it gets done every year, you know?
Oh, I know. I'm just trying to.
I mean, surely we can allow for something.
And carnival and all that during the
Well, let's try this motion then. We will associate the mud ball with the Irish celebration. And so we will associate this, the mud ball, with the special event of the Irish celebration held on the former Fitzgerald Field, now Parchman.
We have a second.
I'll second it.
We have a motion, a second, all in favor? Opposed?
We'll finish up the other three.
Do you have a question, Ms. Campbell?
No, sir.
I seen you raise your arm. Do you have a question?
No, I said I.
Well, is it residential or?
We're trying to figure out how.
It is C2, commercial 2.
It
C2.
is commercial.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
All except for one very small piece of it, and that would probably fall under industrial towards Highway 149.
Could you just use the industrial park? That was it.
That part that he's talking about, just, you don't let part of it.
We just gave him permission to have it that day, so
And he'll ride it.
let's move on. Tell him that it is advertising out there.
We'll work on.
City of Erin needs some tax money.
We'll work on fixing that.
That is what I'm about.
Come back next month and we'll work out something for the other three.
Let's do this.
You want to took out planning commission, different committee? Under new?
I took out, the planning commission, I just left in the rezone because there were some issues. If you want to explain it, you can.
Well, it was just an update for because we didn't talk about it on the work session. On the planning commission, there were kind of three issues. One was, Springfield's wanting to divide off a piece of their property up on Tank Hill, and that was no problem, that passed, because it met all requirements. The second, two things need a public hearing. One will be this ordinance that it's passed on the first reading, then it's got to go to a public hearing. And
I'm sorry, is that the rezoning ordinance? 580?
And then the other thing that will also require a public hearing, which could be done at the same time, is Brian Richardson, it's a conditional use, has a couple of pieces of property he wants to put house trailers on. And that's conditional use and will have to go before, I mean, it's allowed, but it's a conditional use and we'll have to go to have a public hearing on that. So that was the three issues from planning. So with this ordinance of rezoning, it requires two readings. So this will be the first reading, then a public hearing, then it would come back. That's all.
This ordinance 580, rezone belongs to, I don't know your real name, Mr. Wright, I'm sorry. Gary Wright owns a piece of property up here next to Hankins's shop. They've got a fence around it. He's wanting to rezone it so that Hankins can store some cars or use it for a car lot.
Is that your lot that Hank is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you waiting on a motion on
Does
this?
it need to be read, or what do we need?
Need to be read. I was kind of,
Want me to?
you want to? Ordinance 508.
Ordinance 580, an ordinance to amend the zoning ordinance of the city of Erin by amending a zone area currently zoned R2 residential to C2, compliance with such amendment. Be it ordained, that should be ordained, not ordinanced, by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen of the City of Erin, Tennessee, Section 1, that the following area of land currently zoned R2 residential to C2 commercial, and the area of land hereby rezoned and is shown in the Houston County tax records in the Office of the Tax Assessor. And the area to be rezoned is generally described as follows: north side of Highway 49 west, described Harry Rye and Amy Rye property, deed book 121, page 143, map 19, parcel 50. Section 2, that all maps reflecting the zoning area or districts in the city of Erin be amended and changed to comply with the area of land rezoned. Section 3, that all ordinances and parts thereof in conflict herewith be and the same is hereby repealed. Be it further ordained by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen of the City of Erin, Tennessee, that this ordinance take effect upon passage of the second reading.
I make a motion to pass ordinance 580.
I second it.
May I say something for the record? Okay. This is, I wholeheartedly agree with this. It's not spot zoning at all. What they're wanting to rezone to C2 is adjacent to what has already been rezoned, the Hankins Automotive Repair. So this is not spot zoning. This is right beside of it, so there's no heartburn on that. Spot zoning is something that really needs to be looked at. This is not spot zoning.
We have a motion, second, all in favor?
Roll call.
Aye.
Roll call, roll call.
Motion to pass ordinance 580 on first reading. Alderman Bailey?
Yes.
Alderman Campbell?
Yes.
Alderman Dunn?
Yes.
Alderman Finley?
Yes.
Alderman Gooden?
Yes.
Alderman Liggett?
Yes.
Alderman Mitchell?
Yes.
Alderman Taylor is not here. Mayor Parchman?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Our next ordinance is resolution 212012, THDA home grant. You get that one?
That's this one, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. Resolution in support of fiscal year 2012 Houston County, nope, that's not it.
I've got it, you need it.
Yeah, it's in here somewhere, unless you want me to.
City of Erin, resolution number 02012012, resolution in support of fiscal year 2012 THDA home grant application. Whereas funds are available for the State of Tennessee home program, and whereas the City of Erin wishes to improve housing within the city, and whereas the City of Erin may apply for home funds in an amount not to exceed $500,000. Now therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen of the City of Erin that application be made for home funds for housing improvements, and that Tommy Parchman, Mayor, be authorized to sign the application and all assurances necessary to filing said application. Read, adopted, and approved in open session the 7th day of February 2012.
This is a grant that we try to apply for every time it comes up. It's at no expense to the city. The last time we had one, we were able to build one new home, and we did some improvements on 2 separate homes. And we also were able to give, I think, $500 to the county that we had left over so they could put a septic system in one of their rebuilds. Again, this doesn't cost us any money.
Need a motion for that too? Make a motion that we apply for that.
Second.
Motion, second, roll call.
That's resolution, that's just plain.
Unless you want.
We have a motion, second, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Our next resolution is 222012, water line extension.
You want me to explain?
You want to say something about it, Mr. Harris?
Yeah, you want to read it and then I can explain it forward any way you want to do it.
I have this resolution in support of fiscal year 2012 Houston County Community Development Block Grant application. Whereas funds are available through the State of Tennessee Small Cities Community Development Block Grant, CDBG program. Whereas Houston County wishes to provide water to certain areas within the county without reliable sources of water. Whereas Houston County is applying for CDBG funds in the amount of $500,000. Now therefore be it resolved by the City of Erin that they provide the local match for the proposed water project in the amount of $49,451, which is available in the water fund. That the City of Erin cooperate with the county in implementation of the project, and that the City of Erin accepts ownership of the improvements at the completion of construction and the closeout of the project by the State of Tennessee Department of Economic and Community Development. Read, adopted, and approved in open regular session the 7th day of February 2012.
Yeah, this is another one of the projects like you worked with the county 4 or 5 different times in the past. You've done these on your own and you've worked with the county in conjunction with some. This project is, we're getting kind of scattered now because with the city and the county, you put water practically all over the county. This project includes Brigham Branch Road, PZ Ridge Road, Old Sam Mathis Road, coming back down Denmark Road to Bateman Farm Road, few customers on Herman Adams Road, Bledsoe Lane out off of 49, a small section of just the far end of Wallace Lane out off of 49, the far end of Norris Hollow Road out toward off of Williamson Branch, out past Laura's house on Nail Road and Shiloh Hollow Road, right in close to town on Coleman, right off of Coleman Loop and on Coleman Lane, and right on Rocky Hollow Lane. Is that in the city limits?
No, it's just outside.
It's right close to the city limits. And actually, Rocky Hollow Lane has been one we've been trying to find the money to do for several years, because this will tie 2 lines together and will eliminate a small pumping station that we've been trying to eliminate for years. So that's actually will do something that will not serve that many new customers, but will eliminate a pumping station that we've been trying to get rid of. This will pick up approximately 42 or 3 new users, and as Lori did mention, the $49,451 in the local share won't be needed until after this time next year if we get it funded, which we always have in the past. We've been very successful, but the good thing is, if there's any good thing about putting up a local match, if we'd applied for this last year, the local match would have been $68,180. The grant rate is more this year than it was a year ago. It's the grant rate has increased from 88% to 91%. So that is the block grant program for Houston County this year. See, Erin has a grant this year. It's tied up in the sewer system, but Houston County finished their water project, which they filed for Tennessee Ridge the last time, so they finished that, so they wanted to apply for Erin this time, and that's what they're applying for. And the way they're cutting the budgets in Washington, you know, this may be the last go-around for this program. We hope not, but even if it's not, it's getting pretty hard to find areas. We had to kind of scrounge around to find areas to even put a project together, so that was about all we could find to put a project together. I said about all we could find, but it was kind of, the areas are getting fairly lean to find areas that don't have water. So,
Jimmy, I've got a question. Are
yes,
there
ma'am.
any of these little portions are not gonna add any customers?
Are any of them not going to add customers?
Yeah, because we've got a couple of lines out there where we've done this and there are no customers and.
No,
am I right?
we're adding customers now.
I know you're adding
There's a few.
customers on each one of these segments.
Yes, ma'am. Now there are a couple of these that already have a few customers on it that you already have with a small line that we're going to put in a bigger line.
What size line are you going in with? Are these big enough lines to put fire hydrants?
That's
So
what
that
that's what Philip and I are debating now. Like, for instance, Coleman Lane is presently outside the city limits,
Right.
but it's close enough that it possibly will be annexed one day. There's 4 houses on it now. Philip and I have talked about this. We're talking about whether to put a 6-inch line on it or not. It really should be a 6-inch line on it so you can have fire protection, but it's really it really doesn't need to be a 6-inch line just to provide them water service. So we haven't really decided that. We've talked about it back and forth. For water service, a 4-inch line is fine, but to have fire protection, when and if you annex it, it needs to be a 6-inch. So we haven't decided that, but we have talked about it. And there's 1 or 2 more that's the same situation. So that's something we will have to talk about when the time comes. Because Philip and Frank and I, we have these conversations quite often, and you know, back when Big Jim was mayor, there wasn't much conversation about that because he wouldn't let us talk about it. Instead of talking about a 4, he'd be talking about a 2.
Recorded.
Yeah. And that's part of what we're doing now. Like I said, some of these places may have a 2, and we're going to go back now and put in a bigger line.
Philip and I has talked about this. For my concern was, is the city of Erin going to have to build a water tank or a pumping station? And Philip advised me that when it connects a lot of these lines, it's going to help us to put some pressure on out in there. And
I just didn't want to be building any more lines that are just totally empty and basically shut down because we have no customers on them.
Yeah, we've looked at,
We got a good deal on the line, but nobody's out there.
And I've done a lot of the surveying myself this time and talked to a lot of the people, and most of the ones I've talked to really want the water. I mean, the water is really, the people really realize they're becoming more and more not afraid of the well water, but they really recognize the need for a good supply, a safe supply of drinking water now, and they're a little bit more skeptical of their water supply that they have than they used to be, and most of them I've talked to. For instance, on Sam Mathis Road, there's several that's all of them drinking out of the same well, and they said, you know, we can hardly wait to get water out here where we can have a safe, dependable
It's just my concern is this 50,000 is gonna go into what we're gonna have to put into the water plant also.
Frank and Philip and I had a discussion, and we'd really like to see that Arnold Ridge Road down Rocky Hollow connected down on Rocky Hollow. It would really help us. And if this is not approved, then we have to do it ourselves. It's gonna cost us a neighborhood of $49,000 to get.
Yeah, just that one road is more than the local.
Oh, I see advantages of it. I just wanted to make sure, and then if we do get it approved, is there any way we can say, well, this one?
Well, once you get it approved, we need to go back over this list, and if there are some roads that the people are not gonna use it, then they need to be the first deducts not to put in.
That's what I want to
because
be
you don't
able
wanna put water lines in if the people are not gonna use it, that's for sure. They need to be the first ones to deduct out. And we really need to look and see, and I can certainly see Philip and Frank's concern about putting too big a line in and not, and having to go out there 2 or 3 times a month and having to flush and waste water when you already got a higher water loss that you need to have, and waste water to flush it. But I can also see the need to provide as high a level of fire protection as you can too. So, you know, it's two sides to the coin, but anywhere close to where you might annex, you know, I think you'd be mighty short-sighted not to really consider the fire protection, because you don't want to annex something and then have to 5 years later go back and upgrade the line too.
Does the plans have any fire hydrants in them currently?
We haven't done any, all we're doing is the application.
Right now, that's just application.
Yeah, we'll look at that when the time comes, and of course, the council can certainly have any input they want to, and I would welcome that. Because that's, people are a lot more interested in that now than they used to. They didn't care about that, but now that you have a new fire chief, he might be able. And I would welcome that.
Can we have a motion?
I'll make the motion that we pass resolution 2/2012.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Mayor, if I could be excused, I've got a meeting at the courthouse, but I really appreciate that.
I'm sorry I kept you
You want
here.
to sign?
Yeah, if you
Yep, 4-9, good.
That's good. I'll be over the courthouse.
Only other 2 items we got is the fire report and the police report. That's iced tea. Have a report from the fire chief.
Get over to the courthouse.
Now, this month we, sent our big city bumper off, it got, all our repaired. All our apparatus is working order right now.
Yes, George over there.
Yeah, we're having a budget building committee meeting on the
fish fry for fundraiser.
Okay. Oh, do you think that's gonna last long?
What are you gonna do that?
It didn't start till 7.
Downstairs?
Oh, didn't start till
Yeah,
7. Well, hey, tell him.
Cleaning it up, we got
Stop it.
some.
Tell him I said
It used to go real well.
We're gonna start that up again, hopefully have that annually. But everything's running well right now.
You were doing something else for fundraising, weren't you?
No, it's not.
Did you have
We
the
have-
signs up in the window, or is that, oh, that's for the fish fry, okay.
We have other things planning, but it's not enacted yet. Other than that, we're doing well.
Your fish fry, just give me your hours really quickly, please.
It'll be ready right after the parade, between 1 and 3-ish.
You can get tickets where?
City Hall or see a city firefighter.
When is that again?
Directly after the parade.
Oh, after the parade?
Yes, ma'am.
Is our paper gonna get this in the paper?
How much are the tickets?
$10. I believe it's a 3 or 4 piece.
Do you mind if I tell you? I know about this. The fundraiser is, sorry, I'm his wife, by the way, Jennifer. The fish fry will be after the parade from actually 12 to 4. It is a 3-piece catfish dinner. You will get hush puppies, french fries, coleslaw, and a drink that will come with it. It'll be $10 per ticket. You can purchase the tickets from any city firefighter. Up here at City Hall, you can purchase the tickets at, and Dustin and Paul has been very helpful of letting him do it also at his business to ask some people when they come in or something like that. So I appreciate that, Paul, very much. But we're doing it from all city firefighters and up here, so you can, if you're interested, by the way, you can come up here or talk to us. We've got tickets, but that's what it is. It's going to be directly after from 12 to 4.
Our other is police report. You got anything, chief?
I don't. I think all of you got a copy of our report. We answered a total of 222 calls for the month of January, a total of 11 arrests. Those are spelled out there, and 47 citations and 9 accidents. Our accidents are up from what they have been.
And the other thing, get time to work on the budget, call Mr. Pendergrass and let him know that you want to be on the budget committee. Or study about it and be sure and let us know at our next work session that you want to be on the budget committee.
Put me down.
We were trying to get together a personnel committee meeting. I think, what we talked about?
Wednesday.
I know Tuesday was good for you, but wasn't good for NAPLA. Is Wednesday any good for you? Wednesday at lunchtime, 12 o'clock?
12 to 1:30. That works.
Wednesday, 12 to 1:30, personnel.
Who's on personnel? So Paul and Nebla and
Mr. Taylor and Ms. Campbell. And, I mean, obviously, it's open to the public, so.
What's the first meeting?
12 to 1:30.
No, date.
It'll be Wednesday the 15th.
February?
Yeah, that'll be for the personnel committee. They'll trying to work out the new personnel policy and get something together to present to the board next month is the purpose.
No, I'm talking about budget committee.
Budget committee, I haven't said anything.
Okay, good enough.
It'll probably be after St. Patrick's, but I wanted to get it out and let every one of you know. And if nobody has nothing else,
I make a motion, we adjourn.
I second it.
motion, second. Motion.
That's correct. That's correct.
I think the design fits the lot.
Yeah. That's what we.
And this other building, of course, is our future. If we get our other applications approved for our 911, then it can sit right in this area and also use this same entrance coming in. What we've got to watch out for, and this is in regards to our septic system, is when we're in construction, is that we do not disturb this area down here. We've got plenty of area for an additional septic system, but we don't need, when we clear up here, we don't need a dozer down here with it.
Haslam just fired 80 people in the environmental department and two of the top guys, and I think you can see some major changes in leniency.
That's a good start right there.
Yeah, really, because those guys are the two biggest jerks in that whole department.
But in reality, that's what Mr., the guy that, that's here now, when he looked at it, he said, you got plenty of room here for another septic system. Just don't have them come in here with a dozer and do a bunch of stuff down here, which we don't need to do it anyway. There's no reason for us to.
How big a leach field are you going to put in for what we're doing?
300.
Not you better feet, because we're not going to use it.
Let me tell you how he come about.
1,000-gallon tank.
Yeah. He went to the city hall and got the water usage that they're using.
They're not using a lot of water.
Yeah.
It's
So
like
he would know how much water, and he used the maximum.
We're going to rebalance,
So he didn't take the low, he took the high end, and that's how he determined what, and then I asked him to go a little bit higher, because he told me really only about 200 feet, and I said, let's just do a little bit more than that, because something else may come in and we may need it, so he went on and put 300 feet. And I do have that permit which shows how it needs to be, once we get to that point.
We're not to put any lights up or anything, warning lights or anything of that nature, where they coming in and out.
I don't think so. They haven't.
There's no blind, there's nothing blind. I really haven't looked at it.
Oh, it's good.
Pretty good. Straight one room location.
You could probably get the state to put up like they do at the fire stations, that there's an entrance to an ambulance or, just signage, but just signage like that.
Just signage.
That would be all probably what you need.
You're looking at that Yellow Creek one, signs.
Well, you could, like for fire, but we probably might get something for ambulance services in fire.
You're going to have one driveway.
One driveway. This would be, of course, you see what your fire would do. They would come in and back into underneath the basement, and then your ambulance people would come out these units, which would be right there, going out. So, but yes, there will be one driveway.
This being a neighborhood, I assume that we probably not put the sirens on until we left the area.
Yeah, that'd be a good courtesy thing to do. But if you notice, we also, the way it's designed, if you look at it, the office part is really back toward our nearest neighbor over here, and the ambulance people come out this way. Now, the fire people are not, the ones in the basement there, when they come out. But just as a courtesy, George, we'd like to do what you're talking about. And if it sometime it really become a real problem, we could, like for this neighbor, we could put a fence up, a courtesy fence.
Yeah, we've talked about
that.
screening it with a tall wooden fence, which
We're steep.
What kind of exterior are we looking at? The front toward the building, toward the road, highway.
Siding.
Oh, what you're saying? Yeah, the siding, what kind of, is it brick, vinyl, or what kind of siding are we looking at? Metal?
As far as I was concerned, I'm budgeting towards fiber cement, party board type siding. There's some pretty interesting stone with, you guys got the lime furnaces, and so I was thinking we could get some similar type of what they call thin-set cultured stone. And what that allows you to do is have it's a little bit cheaper than brick, but you still get a nice transition of material and something that's closer to what's existing. So mostly siding, the thin-set stone is what I've got proposed. We can do brick. That's not a problem, but again, budget is a concern.
Right. Well, Leon and I were talking today. We want to make sure that these doors here, this is the height, length, and everything of the largest ambulance that we have.
Okay.
We can make sure that our doors coming out.
Right.
Okay.
Right now we've got 12-foot doors.
Yeah, well, back to the noise issue too. If y'all do care to walk over the site, and I know all of you have driven by it, George and I have walked over it many times. That site is loaded with many hardwood trees, and of course a lot of them got to be taken out, but we're not going to take out any more than we have to. And of course, we're gonna leave, obviously, selected ones and as many as we can, and obviously, that'll be a good screening, sound barrier, to help with the sound, both sides and towards the front too, to help buffer the sound, and of course, there's no need to take out all of them. We'll leave all we can.
Yeah, we need a buffer in there somewhere.
That'll really help the looks and the sound. And that's loaded with very pure hardwood.
There's nothing there gonna make a lot of
White oak and red oak. How many years I've worked up here, I still can hardly tell the difference in them, but I guess it is white oak. It's good looking.
Yeah, that's a big one.
One other thing, here in the basement, office and storage, we need, the storage is fine. We're not gonna be up there doing a lot of administrative work, but we do need a bathroom.
Okay, and that was one of the
Yeah,
options.
one of these needs to be done away with, in a bathroom with a shower stall.
Yeah.
Like, you know, because when they come in with all this uniform on, fighting fire, they're put that on.
Yeah.
So they can get in and wash out.
A big stall.
Yeah, it's a.
Walk-in.
Yeah, it's a walk-in.
Sure.
We got some big firemen.
Other than that, that's basically all downstairs, that's
Right.
about it.
And I do believe the outline for the fire trucks are shown at 32 feet. So, and I think you said it was right around 28.
Yeah.
32 feet's pretty, average. So that's
Front to
about-
back.
Yeah, front to back. That's one of the larger trucks. So we're trying to compensate for future growth if needed.
What's the useful life for that building?
Well, it's pretty much as far as the actual framing goes, with cost, and I know one of the things we wanted to do is to use local talent for construction. So we want to use local resources. So we predominantly kept it residential framing. So we got studs, asphalt shingle roofs, fiber cement with the thin set stone. Trying to minimize the amount of metal, that was used. There is an option we're going to try to use as an alternate to do poured concrete walls, but right now we've shown as CMU walls just due to cost as well. But with regular upkeep, we could see this.
What's the cost difference between a metal roof and an asphalt?
I don't know the exact number, but I do know metal is a little bit more expensive. You get a little more labor with it as well.
But the upkeep is far less.
About a third
Well, them screws, you supposed to replace them screws.
You gotta use a standing seam, you can't use a screwdriver. You use a standing seam, there's no protrusions.
Standing have turned these buildings.
Standing seam is what you want to do in a commercial building.
Right, you gotta have standing seam.
Yeah, the screws will, let's say the rubber will deteriorate over time.
They just haven't dropped that in here, they ain't been down there too long.
But the standing seam, there's no screws exposed, so.
One of the problems we got
It's
is
expensive, it'd be good.
we're limited construction-wise, money-wise. I mean, we only have, it sounds like a lot of money,
Yeah.
that's a lot of building,
Right.
I can tell you. And so,
How much do we have?
about 600, a little over 600,000.
We could bid the standing seam, and we've talked about that bidding it as an option. As
Standing seam, you got a 25-year roof,
Well, 50-year.
50 years.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know, we've got one
We've
right
got one
now
down
that
at
we
the
built in
Dust Bowl.
1984.
It's standing
It's like a
seam.
seam.
We've been patching with
Water
that.
cinders.
correct.
Well, the one we're, interfaced,
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, we've had Carter down there,
It's
spent several $1,000 just patching, we're
Penetrate, unless you got bad smell.
It's just wore out. And it's,
That building was probably-
24 gauge standard.
That's some good metal.
you told me 20, but it's got, it had several leaks.
What we don't want is any flat spots on the roof. That's definitely a problem.
The less gables and contours and troughs and all that you have, the better off you are.
Yeah, and it's a fairly simple roof
It's very
structure.
simple design, yeah.
Yeah,
It's all truss, everything's truss.
Everything's truss.
Yeah, it's a fairly simple design, and it's a good time to bid it because the contractors are still fighting over the work.
What's the pitch of the roof?
Right now, you're looking at 812 at the main building and 312 on the shed and also the ambulance facility.
$312 on what?
The ambulance bays, and then you also have the shed coming off the main structure.
You have to provide for runoff on that large size building, where the water is going to go.
Yes, yeah, we will have to do something as far as, runoff and how that goes, and we'll take a look at that with the civil engineer.
Yeah, the state makes us do all of that now. There's no two ways about that.
And those should be steeper.
They could be. Again, the steeper you go, the more material you're using. As far as, and especially with this ambulance bay, one of the reasons it's so low is to tuck up under that roof system, so we don't have to tie into the larger roof system. So the 312 allowed me to get that pitch underneath that, the extension of the overhang.
I love trees, but if you have a low pitch like that, the leaves get up there and they just sit there, and you gotta get somebody up there, and then when you do that, walking around on that roof, you're messing with shingles and everything else, so, we need to consider, I'd love to have the trees around, but we need to minimize the number of.
Look at your thing, George. There ain't gonna be no trees here.
What kind of timeline we're looking at?
There ain't gonna be no trees here.
As far as
The only
getting
place
that
that
done.
could be any.
Well,
might
we
be
do
a few
before
out
summer
front.
out.
And I don't know how many's out, really out that close to the road. Most of them. I think what's gonna happen this area here is gonna be pretty much clear.
Yeah.
If the trees will probably be back in this area.
Are there trees on that guy's
Now,
property?
there may be,
I don't remember.
yeah, there is. Now, there'll be some trees along this property line.
Once we get y'all blessed, we're gonna get it designed and get it ready to bid. That state's pushing us to bid.
So the best scenario, end of summer, we could probably be done with it?
I would hope we could.
September, or August, September?
When you think you could have this ready for me to put it out on the street?
It's a good question. It depends. I think we're going to take a hard look at with our civil engineer, and that's going to take a little bit of time. But as far as drafting it, a couple months to get CDs
I'd say
and specifications together.
I would say we could be in it, certainly be in it before the end of this year for sure. The state's really. The state's a funny animal. We push them and push them to let us have the money, and they give us a runaround every chance they get, and then once they finally turn us loose, and then they turn us loose, then
they want it immediately.
Then they say, when you gonna bid it?
Yeah.
So
the money's available right now, so.
Yeah, budgets have been approved, contracts, all that.
Okay.
So that's not.
So now they're pushing us. So that's why we have been having this meeting to kind of get you all to.
One thing I'd like to see added, since it's a county building, we see a flagpole.
Yeah, that's
In front of it.
Absolutely.
Because that probably adds another $400 or $500, but since it's a county building, I'd like to see one out there.
It's a great idea.
Anything else, guys?
I have no problem at all with the design. I'm big on the board walls. I think by the way I've looked at this, it doesn't have to be a complete board wall. It can be studded in the lower side.
Correct.
So is that true?
That's correct.
And also the metal roof. You don't see any commercial buildings now. You shouldn't. With anything but metal. And I disagree on the. I understand the commercial is great, but even what we're using in our remote firehouses and all those, it's going to last a lot longer than shingles. And as far as the screws are concerned, they developed a cup washer on those where you see them all the way down, seal the neoprene washer underneath it, and they're good to go.
The problem with the steel roof is not the rubber. It's the heat, sun hitting it, and then the cool. And a roof that's about 20 feet long will expand a half an inch to an inch. And so every time the sun hits that roof, the metal expands and it moves the screws. And that's what causes the leaks. It's not the deterioration of the rubber rounds.
That's probably one of the advantages of having the furring strips out of 2x4s and there's airspace between it and the decking, and that takes care of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
We can bid it both ways.
Almost all our buildings are not metal roofing.
Sir?
Almost all our buildings are metal.
Yes.
Why deviate from that?
Well, I mean, we can bid it both ways. We have options in there. Comes in, we can do
It
it.
wouldn't be much difference.
I agree with
And the
Larry on the
same
metal
thing,
roof. I mean, I think you should have a metal, it may be a little higher to start, but it'll be cheaper in the long run.
Yeah,
So we have some very good examples now.
What's the estimate, or have we even
Shambles.
thought about providing
That
for
hailstorm
what our maintenance
yearly
costs
now,
are
they're
going to
gonna
be to keep this building in good shape?
No, we don't do that.
Now, do we have to worry about any?
We actually maintain the facility that we're in.
It'd be cheaper than $1,000 a month. It'd be cheaper than $1,000 a month we're paying rent.
Yeah, we probably get $900.
You talking about a hardy board for the outside, is it?
That's correct.
What kind of maintenance is on that? Because do we have to be worried about something every couple of years?
That's one of the benefits of the cement fiber board is it doesn't wear and tear like wood would. You know, paint is really kind of the limit of what you got to deal with, you know, because paint's, you got to eventually repaint.
It's
Pretty good stuff.
As long as you don't let moisture get between it and the coating, the thin set, it's great. But if you let moisture get behind that, it's all going to come off.
But this is just a prime, the hardy boards you put on, and then you do have to paint it. It has to be painted regularly.
Well, you get like tile, kind of, basically, thin set with
Yeah, we have some of that here in the county that's been built.
I have it on my house. It's good stuff.
So that's going to be concrete or asphalt? The parking area you've got set up?
As far as what's going down, you know, it would be cheaper to do asphalt. I just think it depends on where the price comes in. And one of the things with the granite is that it's, I believe our site money is different.
Well, we don't need to asphalt till we get through with the other buildings anyway.
This is a steep hill here, and you're going to have to salt that thing in the wintertime, and you do not want concrete where you're salting.
No, that's right.
You'll just tear it up, it won't last 5 years.
Right now, we need to pretty much leave it all gravel until we get through with the other.
See how the building
anyway.
I don't see anything wrong with gravel anyway, period.
Till we get through and see how our money is, and get the other.
Creek gravel, creek gravel.
There you go.
If I look at the elevation, right, it's really not that steep, is it?
It's not too bad.
I mean, we're talking
No, not since
690.
we're going.
Since we're going this way, look at your
And that's,
690, and your road is 690.
Right.
So this is,
Pretty bad.
this lays
Yeah.
pretty well up here. I mean, it's pretty flat. So it
Yeah,
really
actually, it's going to be real
doesn't
flat
have
up here.
as much of a slope as you think.
and that's
But
what we
I've talked to some people in concrete, it's coming in about the same price as some blacktop for some of these.
You're doggone right.
Asphalt.
Asphalt is expensive since the oil.
And it's a lot longer. Even with damage.
So really, you know, like George said, 695, it's going to be flat anyway.
It's not real steep.
Maybe back here might be a different story,
Well, it's,
but not bad. Not bad.
685.
Yeah, not bad.
But whatever we do to the driveway, we need to wait.
We wait to see how we do on that.
Well, we need to let it cure and
Set in.
set for a year or two anyway, whatever we do. George, did you want to mention the sheet rock?
well, they know the sheet.
They know the
Yeah,
sheet rock
but,
situation.
Phil Wendell
This
has
situation.
said it does. We've not got any of them yet, but.
I've got 60 sheets inside.
But we don't have a real good place to store it, so.
That.
As far as I know, we still don't have a problem, I have a letter saying that they'll do that, so.
That's correct.
Is it designed for heat pumps? Is that how you're going to heat it?
Yeah, we're gonna do a two-system. What we're gonna do is gonna split over the residential versus the office. The ambulance space will just be a simple heated space. We don't need cool area.
What, is
As
there,
far as I'm concerned,
how big are the water lines that go through there? Because the fire trucks are going to have to fill up with water. how big lines go up that hill, and are they going to tax the system if they fill up their truck? Is everybody in the neighborhood not gonna have water?
Yeah, I'd have to talk to my water guy.
6 inches, Jimmy probably.
No, we're okay on water.
Probably at least 6 inches with mine.
Yeah, we got 6-inch water lines.
Water flow is not great, for 2-inch lines, we plenty. Water flow's not that great, 2-inch line wouldn't bother anybody, get plenty of water for refills.
Do what now?
2-inch line off the main, 6-inch main there.
Yeah, it's 6
Water
inch.
flow is about 600.
So 2 inch would be fine, but for the fire department?
Yeah. Yeah, it's unusual to find anything big.
Yeah, we got plenty of water up there.
Any other questions? What kind of price is the engineering firm going to charge us for handling? What percentage of the grant will y'all be taking?
About half of it.
I'm kidding. I don't know.
You know, when you work for George Clark, you have to work pretty reasonable, you know that.
Absolutely.
It's, I don't know, it's whatever the state.
Well, the market
State takes pretty much.
Okay. It's in the range of,
Yes,
it's in the,
it's very
okay.
reasonable, it's like 6%.
So that's reasonable.
Yeah.
Well, I'll make a motion, Mr. Chairman, to
I
accept.
think that roof ought to be a forward.
I'll say
312, but that,
What's it again?
your roof instead of a 312 ought to be a 412. Would that
Yeah,
agree?
I'll take a look at it. The only downside to that is if I
If
don't
it will
go
allow,
into my main roof structure,